The letter that could have saved a life. 43 years ago, I received a letter. A letter that could have saved the man I loved. But I was too afraid to open it. Today, I finally did. And what I found inside destroyed the life I thought I had. My name is Margaret Hill, though most folks in this small town simply call me Grandma Maggie. I've lived in this old white porch house for more than 50 years, long enough to watch the maple trees grow crooked, the neighbors come and go, and the world change in ways I never expected. Everything seems to fade with time, everything except one thing. An envelope. A cream-colored letter tucked silently inside the drawer of my bedside table. For 43 years, I have never opened it. Not once. Even now, I can't fully explain why. Maybe because some truths hurt more when spoken aloud. Or maybe because tearing that seal would mean admitting that the past, no matter how deeply buried, still has claws sharp enough to reach into the present. I remember the day it arrived as clearly as if someone had pressed it into my hands this morning. Spring of 1982. The sky smelled of rain, and the wind carried that soft, hopeful chill only April brings. I was outside hanging laundry when the mailman approached, holding a single envelope with handwriting I recognized instantly, handwriting that once made my heart run faster than my footsteps could keep up. Michael Carter. The only man I ever truly loved, and the man who vanished without goodbye. I stood there frozen, the white bedsheets flapping behind me like ghostly wings. Instead of opening the letter, I pressed it hard against my chest, as if the envelope itself might shatter me. I hid it away that day. And I kept it hidden for 4 decades. People say time heals everything. It doesn't. Time only covers the hurt with dust so we forget where the sharp edges lie, until something brushes against them again. At 78, you'd think I would have made peace. Yet there are nights when I wake up wondering what words lie inside that envelope. An apology? A confession? A goodbye I never received? Or the truth I spent a lifetime running from? Tonight, as I sit in my living room chair, the same chair where I've told my grandchildren stories of courage, mistakes, and love, I find myself holding the envelope once more. The paper has softened, the ink has faded, but the fear is just as raw. I trace the seal with trembling fingers. Not because of age. But because I know that whatever is inside could undo everything I've believed for 40 years. I whisper into the quiet room. Why did you write to me, Michael, after all that time? But the house answers with silence. My thoughts drift to my late husband, Richard, a gentle, patient man who never knew that a small part of my heart had once belonged to someone else. I loved him, truly. But love can take different shapes, and some shapes leave shadows behind. Maybe the letter holds the answers I never dared seek. Why Michael left. Why he never said goodbye. Whether I was the reason, or simply collateral damage in a story I never understood. Tonight feels different. Heavier. As if the past has decided to knock on my door and finally be heard. A cold breeze slips through the half-open window, brushing against the envelope like a whisper urging me to end the waiting. I place my thumb beneath the flap, breath trembling. When suddenly, a knock at the door. A slow, heavy knock. At nearly midnight. My heart lurches. No one in this quiet neighborhood visits me at this hour. No one should. Another knock, this one deeper, firmer. Clutching the envelope, I rise slowly. One step toward the door, then I freeze. Because from the other side, a voice murmurs, low, strained, unfamiliar yet haunting. Maggie, it's about the letter. The first time the voice called my name, I thought my old ears were betraying me. But then it came again, soft, strained, almost trembling. Maggie, please. It's about the letter. The envelope in my hand crumpled under my tightening grip. No one knew about this letter. No one. I had carried it secret like a locked box inside my chest for 43 years. Slowly, very slowly, I stepped toward the door. My breath echoed in the quiet house as I whispered, "Who's there?" Silence. Only the wind pressed against the porch, making the old boards creak the way they used to when Richard returned home late from work. But this wasn't him. This wasn't anyone I recognized. I unlatched the chain and opened the door just a sliver. At first, there was only darkness. Then my eyes found a shape, a tall man standing at the edge of the porch light, his coat damp from the night air, his shoulders sagging with exhaustion. He lifted his head. "Mrs. Hill?" he asked, voice cracking gently. "Yes," I murmured, keeping the door half closed. "Do I know you?" He shook his head. "No. But I knew someone who loved you very much." A cold shiver ran across my back. He stepped out of the shadows, and the porch light revealed a face lined with grief, eyes soft, deep-set, carrying a sorrow I recognized instantly. It was the kind of sorrow I had once seen in the mirror after Michael disappeared. His next words nearly stopped my heart. "My name is Daniel," he said quietly. "Daniel Carter." The surname hit me like a blow. Carter. My breath stuttered. "Michael Carter?" I whispered, barely forming the words. Daniel nodded slowly. "He was my father." For a moment, it felt like the night itself froze. Michael had a son. A grown man now. How could all this time have passed while I remained trapped in the past? My hand trembled against the doorframe. The porch light flickered, as if the house itself felt the weight of what he'd revealed. "I know this is unexpected," Daniel said gently, seeing the shock in my eyes. "But I found something. Something my father meant for you. When I saw your name, I knew I had to come." His gaze lowered to the envelope I was clutching, creased now, almost afraid. Words deserted me. My heart was pounding so loudly I wondered if he could hear it. Finally, I managed to whisper, where is your father now?" Silence fell between us like a curtain. Daniel's expression shifted, his jaw tightened, and his eyes glistened with something sharp and painful. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "He passed away," he said. "Just a few weeks ago." The world tilted. I gripped the small table by the door to keep from collapsing. Michael, gone. Gone before I ever learned why he left me. Gone before a single explanation could reach me. "I'm so sorry," Daniel added softly. "I wish you could have seen him at least once more." A tear fell onto my hand, warm, unexpected, born of decades I thought I had left behind. Daniel reached into his coat and pulled out a small wooden box. Old. Worn. Carefully kept. "He wanted this delivered to you," he said. "If anything ever happened to him." I stared at the box as if it held a ghost. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Why didn't he come himself? Why, didn't he ever explain?" Daniel hesitated, then exhaled shakily. "Because he thought you hated him." My heart twisted. Hated him? Why would he think that? Daniel looked at me, really looked, and something in his eyes shifted. A truth he had been carrying trembled on his lips. "Because of what happened the night he disappeared," he said. "Because of what he never told you." I felt the ground disappear beneath me. "What happened, Daniel?" I asked, breathless. He swallowed hard, then spoke the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. The room felt tighter, smaller, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Daniel stood before me, the wooden box resting on the table between us like a relic from a past I had tried so hard to bury. His hands hovered beside it, not quite touching, as if the memories inside were too fragile to disturb. I swallowed hard. "What happened to him?" I whispered. Daniel took a slow, steady breath, the kind a person takes before revealing something that cannot be undone. "To understand that," he said softly, "you need to know what happened the night he disappeared." My heart pounded, 40 years of unanswered questions rising like ghosts. He continued, voice low. "My father never planned to leave you. The night before he left, he bought a ring. He was going to propose to you the very next day. The air left my lungs. Propose? Michael, my Michael, had vanished on the eve of asking me to be his wife? The world blurred for a moment. Then why? I managed, voice trembling. Why did he go? Daniel placed the wooden box gently in front of me. Because someone threatened him, he said. Someone you knew. The words hit like cold water. Who? I breathed. His jaw tightened. My father didn't tell me the name, not until much later. He said the truth could destroy both families. Families. The words struck with a strange, chilling weight. Daniel's voice grew quieter. He told me he discovered something connected to you. A secret he wasn't supposed to know. A secret involving me? My mind raced, every conversation, every shadow from my past, but nothing made sense. What secret? I asked, gripping the edge of the table. He wouldn't say, Daniel replied. Only that he met someone at the old train station the night before he fled. That person told him if he didn't leave town immediately, both of you would pay the price. A coldness crawled up my spine. This wasn't abandonment. This was fear, danger woven into love. Daniel watched me closely. He loved you, he said firmly. He left because he thought disappearing was the only way to keep you safe. My knees weakened. I lowered myself into a chair, breath shaking. Then Daniel opened the wooden box. Inside lay a silver ring, tarnished by time, still cradled in faded velvet. My breath hitched. Oh. Michael. He kept it all these years, Daniel said softly. He never married. Never even tried. This ring was with him until the day he died. Tears surged forward, hot, relentless. I touched the ring with trembling fingers. The metal felt warm, almost alive. Why didn't he come back later? I asked, voice breaking. Why didn't he tell me when the danger passed? Daniel hesitated, then lifted something else from the box. A folded note. The paper yellowed, edges worn. He tried, he whispered. He wrote you that letter, the one you never opened. He begged you to meet him so he could explain everything. My heart nearly stopped. If only I had opened it. If only I hadn't been so afraid. Then why didn't he come to me? I pressed. Daniel's eyes filled with sorrow. He did, he said quietly. He went to the place he told you to meet him. A long pause. But you never came. The room spun. I never came because I never opened the letter. Daniel continued, voice trembling. He waited for 6 hours in the cold. He thought you didn't want him anymore. A sob escaped me, decades in the making. A letter unopened. A love misunderstood. A lifetime shaped by fear and silence. I met Daniel's eyes, breath trembling. Tell me everything, I whispered. Please. He opened his mouth to speak. And suddenly, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then the house plunged into darkness. A soft creak echoed from the back room. Someone else was inside. Darkness swallowed the house so suddenly it felt as if someone had pulled the world's curtain shut. No hum of appliances. No glow from the lamps. Only silence, and my heartbeat thudding wildly in my ears. Daniel's voice cut through the dark, low and sharp. Stay behind me, Mrs. Hill. Even in the pitch black, I could hear the tightness in his voice, the caution of someone who expected danger. A faint creak drifted from the back of the house, slow, heavy, deliberate. Not settling wood. Not a branch. Footsteps. Someone was inside. Someone who had entered without a knock, without a word. My breaths came shallow and fast. I live alone, I whispered. Nobody should be here. Daniel stepped forward, barely visible in the moonlight leaking through the curtains. I clutched the unopened letter against my chest, as if the thin paper could protect me. Another sound, a soft drag, like fingers brushing along the hallway wall. Daniel froze. "Who's there?" His voice echoed through the dark. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. My thoughts raced. A thief? An intruder? Someone from Daniel's past? Someone from mine? But the footsteps. Slow. Measured. Familiar. My hand reached for the drawer, searching for the flashlight. Before I could touch it, a voice emerged from the hallway. Raspy. Weak. But familiar enough to stop my heart. Maggie. My blood turned to ice. I stood completely still, breath trapped in my chest. I knew that voice. I had memorized it once. Loved it once. Mourned it once. "No," I whispered. "That's not possible." Daniel snapped toward me. "Who was that? Do you know that voice?" I couldn't speak. Because the voice, aged, cracked, trembling, was unmistakable. It sounded like Michael. But Michael was dead. Daniel had said so. He had mourned him. So how? A slow, uneven step echoed from the hallway. Another. The sound of someone leaning on the wall for support. Daniel moved in front of me. "Show yourself," he commanded. Now. A shadow shifted at the end of the hallway, broad shoulders, slightly hunched, a cane tapping lightly against the wooden floor. The silhouette of a man carrying the weight of decades. My heart twisted painfully. The figure moved into the thin beam of moonlight. An older man. Gray hair falling loosely around a worn, weathered face. A cane in one hand. Eyes filled with sorrow, eyes I could never forget. "Maggie," he whispered again, lifting a trembling hand. "I'm sorry. I didn't want it to end like this." Daniel stumbled backward as if struck. His face drained of all color. "Dad," he choked. "Dad? But, you told me you were." The man, Michael, closed his eyes, breathing raggedly. "I lied, Daniel. To protect you. To protect her. I didn't have a choice." I felt the entire room tilt around me. Michael. Alive. Standing in my home after 40 years. "You're alive," I whispered, tears burning my eyes. "Barely," he rasped, gripping his cane. He lifted a trembling hand toward me, as if trying to reach across decades of silence. "There's something you need to know," he said. "Both of you." My pulse hammered. The secret, the one I kept, it was never about me. Michael steadied himself, breath shaking as he leaned on his cane. "It was about you, Maggie." A cold shiver crept up my spine. Daniel stared between us, confusion and disbelief etched across his face. "What secret? What are you talking about?" Michael's eyes, haunted, regretful, met mine. Eyes that carried 40 years of sorrow. "I tried to stay away. I tried to protect you both. But the truth never stayed buried." My fingers tightened around the old letter still clutched to my chest. The letter I had never opened. The letter that had shaped both our lives by accident. Michael swallowed painfully. "I wanted to come back. I did. But someone made sure I couldn't." Daniel stepped closer, voice unsteady. "Dad, who threatened you? Why disappear for so long?" Michael shook his head weakly. "If I tell you now, everything changes." He turned to me again. "Maggie, all this time, I carried the truth alone. And it destroyed everything I ever loved." Tears slipped down my cheeks. "What truth?" I whispered. "Please, tell me." Michael's hand trembled as he pointed to the faded letter in my hand. "It's in there," he said. "Everything. The danger, the betrayal, the reason I left. Daniel looked stunned. That letter? The one she never opened? Michael nodded slowly. Yes. And now, it may be the only thing that can save us. My heartbeat thudded painfully. Save us? Michael stepped closer, voice barely more than a breath. It's time, he whispered. You must open the letter. Silence pressed against the walls, thick enough that even breathing felt intrusive. Michael stood in the doorway, older, frilier than the boy I once loved, his fingers trembling as they clung to the wall for support. Daniel rushed to steady him, still pale with disbelief. I could barely move, barely think. Everything I had buried for 40 years now stood in front of me like a ghost made of flesh and regret. Maggie, Michael whispered, his voice raspy and worn. Open it, please. It's time. The envelope in my hands felt heavier than the world. Its edges were brittle, the paper yellowed with age, as if holding decades of unsaid words hostage. My breath shook as I slid my thumb beneath the seal. It cracked open with a dry, fragile sound, like bones breaking beneath memory. I unfolded the letter. Maggie. If you're reading this, it means I couldn't tell you myself. There is something I learned, something about your family, that forced me to leave. I didn't want to go. I loved you more than my own life. My heart stopped. The room spun softly, tilting like my world had come unanchored. Daniel's voice quivered behind me. Mom, what is he talking about? My eyes followed the faded lines. Your father came to me the night before I disappeared. He told me a truth he had kept hidden for years, one he swore would destroy you if it ever came out. He said if I stayed near you, he would expose everything. He said you were in danger because of something he did long ago. A sharp ache pierced my chest. My father? My gentle, quiet father who read me poetry on rainy afternoons? Danger? Secrets? My hands trembled as I kept reading. He told me we couldn't be together because he believed he caused my mother's death. He said the accident wasn't an accident at all. My vision blurred. I lifted my head, staring at Michael. His face was pale, exhausted, but filled with a sorrow that had clearly lived in high. He told me, Michael whispered hoarsely, that our families were tied by tragedy. Your father blamed himself. Mine died because of it. He believed if the truth surfaced, both families would drown in bitterness. Daniel stared at his father, devastated. Why didn't you tell me this? Why did you lie? Michael lowered his head. Because I wanted you to grow without that poison. I wanted you to have a life free from the mistakes of the past. I turned back to the letter. I didn't know if your father was telling the truth or just trying to keep us apart. But he threatened to ruin you, Maggie, to destroy your name, your dreams, if I didn't leave in silence. So I walked away. And I have regretted it every day since. A soft sob slipped from my lips. The last line struck like a blade. I'll wait for you tonight at the old bridge. If you come, I'll tell you everything. If you don't, I'll know you chose to forget me. But please, Maggie, come. I love you. Michael. My knees weakened. I never read it, I whispered. I was too afraid. I thought you were leaving because you stopped loving me. Michael's face broke, grief and longing etched into every wrinkle. I waited for you, he whispered. I waited until the sun rose. When you didn't come, I thought I wasn't worth your goodbye. Daniel clenched his jaw, tears slipping silently. This letter, it stole both your lives. Michael tried to take a step forward, but his legs buckled. Daniel caught him. Dad. I fell beside them, grabbing Michael's cold hand. He looked at me, eyes softening, fading. I'm sorry, for everything, he breathed. I loved you, all my life. His chest rose once more, then fell. And with that final breath, 40 years of silence finally ended.